I step forward through the threshold, out the door and onto the porch with its 4 simple steps and its accompanying black wrought iron railing. Here I have written many poems whilst standing, whilst observing the suburban world chugging long before me. Folks go to work, they go to their day-to-day lives as I continue this long experiment. A truck comes along every morn to deliver papers, a veritable relic of the past. No longer do paper boys make the rounds in the traditional sense like I did once for the Vineland Daily Journal. It rained last night, yet the ground outside still seems dry. In my flower beds, the ones with the chopped wood, mulch faded from darkness to a dingy gray. My old aging parsley plant of 2 years knows it's past its prime. It's time I kept you alive through the cold of last year's winter. Now the question remains, shall I bring thee back inside once again? To fool death, to fool the capricious hand of Mater Natura. These are the questions I ask myself, questions that I must seek the answers to. I refuse to stew in my own misgivings, for I am too busy living my life, a life forever different from what I'd ever expected possible. Yes, it's true. My life is very different from how it was when I came out here from Newfield, New Jersey, to Spokane, Washington, and got into a little game called the poetry game. Never had an opportunity to do any of this stuff out there because there just wasn't any events to do those things at, except up north, closer to New York City. And I was out in the farmland, out in the country, and I didn't belong there. So I came out here, and life got a little bit better, which leads me into the title of my next poem, A Little Bit Better. A little bit better. Sophia, not so much. 2 days home, will it be 3? I shall know in due time when she awakens from an ephemerally disturbed sleep. As of the late, our sensitive noses have been aflame, chests aflutter with the rattling of pulmonary congestion. Will this pain be lessened? Internal? External? Did it really have to come now at this particular point in time during the shifting of seasons? I'm sure you have your reasons, God. You do. You have to. But come on now. Give us a break. I'm very happy that I got over my little bug a week ago. That was when I wrote that poem. Because now, anytime you get any little hint of sickness, everyone thinks you have COVID. I got the vaccine. What do you want from me? But it's been difficult, especially during these quarantine times and pandemic years, trying to be creative, trying to express myself, trying to find something deep down inside of me. And that's where I try to find a decent writing rhythm. And that's the title of this next poem. It's been a long time since I've fallen into a decent writing rhythm. Ever since I went into kratom recovery, it has been so different, so challenging for me. My mind feels at once dead and popping, full of alcoholic, drug-addled, obnoxious, uninvited guests that are too quiet and too loud for their own good. I wish that I could boot everyone out, make some room for the next dastardly denizens of my own dome, whomever, whatever that they may be. One day I shall complete all of these unfinished novels. 2092, A Tale of American Carnage, Judge, Coach, and Executioner, St. Germanius on Phobos, and my semi-autobiography, Can't Wait for the Movie or Documentary. What a life I've lived in so short a period. In 2014, I considered moving to Spokane my retirement. But that wasn't the end of it. No. far from it. The rhythm, it shall come again, I'm sure, no need to push. Otherwise it is thine sanity that may crumble. The rhythm will come, 1,000 days of writing plus, still not a single 24-hour cycle missed. Though a man cannot subsist on words alone, at least until the book deal comes along. And that's true, there's a lot of truth in that poem. Because I challenged myself in November 1st, 2 years ago, to write every day for 30 days. And 30 days became 60, 60 became 90. And then we got to 1,000 in July. And I still am going, have not missed a day. Although my output is not like what it used to be. I'm not putting out 10 pages a day, I'm putting out 1 or 2. But you know what? Hey, it's something, especially when it's so difficult to try to find the strength, the vitality to continue on in these troubled times. This one's called Don't Forget the Lessons. My spirit was once broken, shattered by those who had so taken offense to my being. But I was not to be stopped fully by such measures, all of the transgressions against me. How many stolen phones? How many bags of weed, pills, packs of cigarettes, video games, and other electronics? Though I know for sure how many mailboxes of ours that were blown up. The answer is 1. Some sought solace in deceiving me, lying so that they could in turn blackmail me against my worried and troubled family, letting me know someone could call probation at any time with a tip or 2. Well, fuck them and forget them. But don't forget the lessons incurred during that hellish period. No, not for a second. Or else those very lessons, they will bite me on the ass again. Repeatedly, until I can no longer properly sit down without an inflatable, cushioned, proverbial hemorrhoid donut. Yes. I'm gonna keep going. See, in the last year has been really difficult because all of the poetry and literary events they had to move virtual. And the Spokane Poetry Slam closed down in the last few months. And that was really sad, because they had events every month, like clockwork, and ever since I came to this city, and I remember going to some of these events, like before I even started reading poetry, and thinking, man, I wish I had the balls to go up there and read my stuff, because some of them, they didn't know what they were doing. And then I got the courage to go up there, and I found so much encouragement, which was bewildering to me, utterly bewildering. It's just so sad to think that so many of them have moved on, have gone to better places, better cities. But you know what? I'm here for the long haul in Spokane. I'm gonna keep writing, and I'm gonna keep repping on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and all the rest of them. Let's go. Yeah. This one's called Toss Off the Shackles of Yesterday. New morn, new challenge, and a new state of mind. Toss off the shackles of yesterday. Let them not encumber you. No. Let them fall to the wayside, to be thereafter covered in a shroud of trail dust. Let them be buried and forgotten aside from any important life lessons that might have been had. Be not in bondage, unless that's your personal in-the-bedroom curtains drawn kind of thing. Be not shaken. Be not by the panic stirrers, not by the fear mongers, not by anyone who may oppose you on the field of battle, metaphorical or otherwise. Be not swayed by the hand of the damned, for they are those that shall be held in the infernal grip of contempt eternal. Be you, be not anyone else. I really fight for individuality. Just to be yourself. Don't go on the internet and look at some guy and be like, oh, I gotta be like that guy. He's got 10 Ferraris, 10 Lamborghinis. And if you can't have that, then your life, well, it's going to be empty forever. And guess what? You did get to that point, get up to that point, it probably wouldn't matter too much to you. You'd be like, well, after the first one, what's 10? What's 20? You know? Gotta be humble in this city, especially if you're gonna do poetry, the literary arts. It is not a very profitable game, but it is so fulfilling to get up here and do this. I love it. This is the first time I've hosted an event since maybe a couple years ago. But you know what? It's beautiful, and I thank you all. It has been the first day of fall quite recently, and I had to write a poem for that. It's the first day of fall, and thank God it finally came. It's a damn shame that our precious American summer was yet another bust. But what do you expect? Could you expect, especially with everything that's been going on, from the wildfires to round 2 of the worldwide COVID pandemic? I don't think I need to point out that we are all sick of it. Has Corona spread yet to the Arctic? We have been used by faceless corporate boards, by snide politicians, fucking us from out of the corners of their twisted, wretched mouths, by brain-dead celebs and so-called ones, social media overnight megastars, and all of the rest. Our lives are mere paltry plastic pieces on a gargantuan checkered game board, and it's also on fire to boot. So, best roll those dice while you can, because you might not get another chance at this before any number of odd misfortunes descend upon thee. The arrival of fall, though, it is a blessing, and I'm not messing around here either. Let the autumn leaves drop, and let the school bells ring, and let pumpkin spice reign supreme once again. I know I had to read that at the coffee place. Love my coffee. I have to have it every morning or I die. That's no lie. Gotta get a sip of water though for this. Yeah. This one's called First Friday Is A-Comin'. It's already here. How about that? MADCO Labs Studios is shutting down for a couple of days to do a deep clean. They've got to get ready for First Friday Is A-Comin', and I'm due to host their second poetry slam, a wholly exciting prospect, especially for me. These past couple of years, well, if you haven't noticed, they have not been too kind to performance artists, as painful as that may be to admit. If I was living solely off of poetry money, I'd be starving in the streets with paid gigs being few and far between. Yet, I am happy to volunteer when needed. When there is a literary event in need, I'll do my damnedest to be there. And that's why I'm so undoubtedly ecstatic that there's still something out there for me. And I will do whatever I can, and within reason, to further it. The other day we finally got some rain. I've been hoping for that all summer. And then by the time my tomatoes aren't doing too well anymore, not exactly turning red so much anymore, the storms come. And when the storms come, they don't stop. And then it gets wet. It's so weird to go from breathing in dust all the time to, ooh, it's raining out. So that's why I go outside, I step out on the porch in the storm, and I write a poem in it. After a summer without a semblance of rain, simple stunted showers need not apply. The autumn storm outside my window soundeth like the ponderous slamming of war drums, stretched thick with the taint of tanned human hides. Where there should be gutters, and there is not, the droplets fall in sequence, over and over again, hypnotic and unnerving. Where were you when I needed you? When the dust was thick and the air heavy with wildfire smoke, when the tomatoes were so thirsty I could only slake it by the bucketful. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but what in the actual fuck? I do water my tomatoes with a bucket, and have to do 2 a day. Now I only need to do 1. But I love my tomatoes. As an Italian from New Jersey, the Garden State, living out in Spokane, my garden is a little slice of home. And my mother always buys me plenty of plants in the spring. And then I make what she calls the best tomatoes in Spokane. That's why it's sad. We're pretty much at the end. But I got plenty of green tomatoes. They don't taste so great. Except if you do the fried green tomatoes that we had at that restaurant one time, that was great. This is from a word I learned the other day called supercooled. That is when a liquid is cooled past the point where it would turn into ice. Supercooled. If only my blood were supercooled, then I could survive the winters packed under ice tightly like so many of the more hardy toads. See, they do have one notable desirable trait. I would like to hide away from the evils of this world, to hide underneath the mountainous terrain with the ever lovely Sophia by my side. Granted, I would have presented this plan in full, way ahead of time, so that preparations proper could be made. A retreat ensues into mine own fortress of solitude, except I'm no Superman, I'm just a regular man, super cooled. My powers, they arrive by way of liquid nitrogen forced into my body. A science experiment gone wrong, perhaps, or a common outpatient medical procedure. Well, the former, it sounds quite a bit more respectable than the latter. That's something that happened to me in the last week. I went to the doctor and he gave me a little jolt of liquid nitrogen in my toe. So it's amazing that I'm standing here before you today with my foot, because that plantar wart was horrifically painful, but it taught me a lot of valuable lessons about life, about pain. As if I needed to learn anything more about that after all my problems in the past. All right, let's go for, where did I read this poem the first time? This was a good one. This is called Waiting for the Literary Feast. Oh, I read this at the one of the libraries in Spokane. It was really nice. I forget which one. Oh, here we go. Waiting for the Literary Feast. Again, I'm here, I'm on the South Hill, at the hospital, waiting for the news of the next phase of treatment. It's 5 degrees outside, and I was dropped off by a lift. How many hours until the next open mic at Nido Burrito? The one with the open mic, not the one lone burrito for my other poem. Last night was exceptional. Power to the poetry is going places. So many there were who came to the downtown Spokane Library at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, no less. So many familiar faces there were. Spokane's Poetry All-Stars. One does not have to venture far for a seat at the table of the literary feast. Glad I am that these days are now, and we are hand in hand in our journeys. Where would I be without this? How would I exist outside of screaming M.A.D. ink into bleached wood pulp? What would be the eventual result? There's a movement in this city. There's a movement in this city. There's a moment in this city, and it must be seized upon timely before the tide rolls out once more, and we're stuck, and mired on the muddy shores. No chance there be to explore when one is stuck up to their feet, knees, and thighs in muck, seaweeds, land and sand crabs. A literary land grab. Explorers, they seize upon the golden grace of Providence. And here we are, a literary, spoken word wonderland, where we have found peace with the stage-bound, book-bound natives. What secrets have they to share with us. In darkness be there in the land of light. Our sight catches a glimpse of the meaning of existence. Can you handle this? If not, you had better either jump ship or hold on. Yes, I would like to thank the continued support of the Spokane literary community. But it's kind of sad because I wrote that thinking this is going to be around forever, and well, it's not, you know? And that's the problem with attaching yourself to organizations. And, you know, because you just kind of, it hurts when it goes away, especially when you think it's going to be around forever. I assumed the Spokane Poetry Slam was going to be around forever. It was such a big thing. There were so many people when I go to the Nina Burrito open mics and stuff. But something changed over time. Well, and that was called COVID. But that hasn't stopped me. Many of the people that I spoke of in that last poem have retired from poetry. In a sense, they've started families, moved away, got real jobs. Well, what are you gonna do, right? Not everyone can do this. So let's go to one of my favorite poems that I read at Nina Burrito. It might have been the first time I ever read there. It's called Mr. West's Nightmare. It's my take on Edgar Allan Poe, kind of the Raven, except now. The dawn of a new and perilous night begins as one, Mr. West, a man of no noteworthy profession or direction, finishes his humble meal of charred roast beef and rosemary, red-skinned potatoes. He chokes it down and almost dies as a forkful catches dry in his throat. He is not so lucky. No. Mr. West, escaping asphyxiation, is still doomed. Doomed to another night of nightmares, most unsound, least of all profound. With a stagger, he steps into his living room to binge watch another season of TV dramedies, whilst quaffing ale till his eyes grew heavy and it was time for his evening meds. Pills for his back, pills for his nerves, pills for his mood, and one for his dreams. The shrink explained that this last one, prazosin, might ease his somniferous slumbering terrors that continually racked his body and mind with fits and frozen sweats most unkind. The handful of pills went down easier than that last bit of beef, it's true. Still, he was not brought semblance of comfort nor ease as the minutes went by and he watched out the window as the waning moon traveled through the twilight sky. One last stale, acrid cigarette before bed. One last taste of reality before crashing through the gates of oblivion. And there it is, the antediluvian, seamless universe. It finds Mr. West once again. Bile boils in his viscera as Mr. West finds himself hand in hand with his long-lost love, Belle. Belle, who killed herself 5 years ago, a victim of what antiquated psychiatrists would have labeled a monomania of pride. I can only take you this far, she says, her body dissolving to desiccated sand and silt, until she's finally gone. There on the horizon, be it in blackened darkness, thy quiescent hometown of youth, can you see the city water tower rotting away, Mr. West? Can you see the old maples upturning the sidewalk, tangled in the power lines, looming over the streets? And yet still, you continue on, knowing the hazards that come your way. Listen to the thunderous din of tornadoes whipping into the far-off reaches of the distance. You drift from the road and find the seemingly propitious sickle pear trees, heavily bent with their red-green fruit. Smell the sweet air around them, thick with bees and wasps and bald-faced hornets. Do you dare disturb them? Do you dare disturb the panting shadow of a dog tied to the tree? And are you surprised when you pluck the blighted fruit of tomorrow and everything comes at you all at once? Take one last breath as the dirt falls away beneath you and you are buried underground in ethereal perpetuity. Take one last harrowing breath, Mr. West, for your eyes, they shall never open again. Yeah. That's based on a true story. I have nightmares every night, basically every night, and a lot of this imagery is stuff that I've dreamt about. The quiescent hometown of youth, twisted, gnarled. It's almost as if I have a lot to deal with back home inside of me. But that's between me and my therapist. Hey-o! So I think we're gonna take a 5-minute break. And and then I'll be back at 7:35. Thank you very much.
Woo!